Welcome everybody. Assalamu alaikum. Ahlan wa sahlan. Hola. Konnichiwa. Guten Tag. Welcome to today's session. We're going to be covering frequency trees. Here is the first question. This is from paper 2, June 2018. It's the first of 8 questions. And if you want a copy of the questions, it's in the description of the video. Press pause and have a go. When you are ready, press play. Let's start with this question. Each worker in a factory is either left-handed or right-handed. 22 of the 45 workers are male. 16 of the 34 right-handed workers are female. Complete the frequency tree for this information. So we've got the frequency tree here, and this is worth 3 marks. So how do we do this? Step 1, we fill in the obvious information. Fill in obvious information. And step 2 is then, once we have one information, like for example here, then that will lead us to the next information and so on. So fill in the obvious information. And step 2 is answer will lead to another answer. So it's like a puzzle. One piece leads on to another piece. So like a puzzle. So let's go through this. Each worker in a factory is either left-handed or right-handed. 22 of the 45 workers are male. 16 of the 34 right-handed workers are female. Complete the frequency tree for this information. If you think about it in a way, we don't need this first sentence. And this last sentence we don't need. So we just need to analyze, process this sentence. So we can see 22 of the 45 workers are male. So 45 workers are male. Sorry, 22 of the 45 workers are male. So altogether we've got 45. 22 of them are male. So that's our first obvious information. So 45 workers, that's here, and 22 of them are male. Now that we know what we have as male, we can then work out the female. So this now becomes 45 take away 22. And it's a paper 2, which is a calculator paper. That gives me 23. So that goes into this box here. So I've analyzed the first sentence. Let me look at the next sentence. 16 of the 34 right-handed workers are female. So we've got 34 right-handed workers and 16 of them are female. So we're looking for female and right-handed are 16. So female, right-handed. So we're looking at this one here, and this one is 16. Okay, so now you can see our step 1, step 2, one answer leads to another. So now if this is 23, this box becomes 23, take away 16. That gives us 7. And now we can go back to the other information, which is that 34 are right-handed. So what we can do now is we can work this one out, right-handed. So we've got 34 take away 16. That gives us 18. So 18 goes in here. And so if this is 18, we can now work out this box, which is 22 take away 18, which gives us 4. And that is my final answer. Let's go to the next question. This is a paper 1, so non-calculator, from November 2019. This is the second question of 8. And you can see there are quite a lot of information here. We've got part A and also a part B. So the first part, similar to the last question, is worth 3 marks. And then part B is worth 1 mark there. So we've got all of that we need to do. So press pause, have a go. When you are ready, press play for the answer. So we've got 120 people were at a hockey match. Each person was asked if they wanted to stand or to sit to watch the match. 75 of the people were female, 29 of the males wanted to sit down. 30 of the people wanted to sit. Use this information to complete the frequency tree. So we've got the frequency tree 120 here, so this matches with this. One of the 120 people is chosen at random. Write down the probability that this person is a male who wanted to stand. Okay, so if we think about this first sentence, we don't really need this first sentence because it kind of tells us what we've got here. So it's kind of useless in one sense. Each person was asked if they wanted to sit or stand to watch the match. Again, we don't really need this information. And this information we don't really need. So really, all of that information now, I just have to process these 3 sentences. So it's much, much simpler to kind of work out. It's much more easier on the eyes. So similar to the last question, step 1 is I fill in the obvious information. Fill in obvious information. And then step 2 is an answer. One answer will lead to another. And again, like a puzzle, when you place one piece, that will help you find the next piece. So 75 of the people were female. So that's an obvious information. 75 are female, so that will go here. And now my step 2, which is this part here, 120, take away 75. So non-calculator paper, so I can't take away that. I borrow 1 from here, so this becomes 10, take away 5 is 5. This is 1, so I can't do that, so I have to borrow again. 11 take away 7 is 4, so I've got 45, so that goes here. So again, similar to before, one answer will lead on to another answer. So let me now go on to the next bit. 29 of the males wanted to stand. So we look for the males and they wanted to stand. So this is standing here. So this becomes 29. Okay, so I've processed this information, the second line. So now, like the puzzle, I can work this one out, which is going to be 45, take away 29. Okay, so borrow 1 here, this becomes 3, 15 take away 9 is 6, 3 take away 2 is 1. So this is now 16. And then the last information, 30 of the people wanted to sit. So I've got 30 who want to sit. So I'm looking at sitting, 30. I've got sitting here already. So this 16 were male. So now I'm working out the female. So I can do 30, take away 16. That gives me 14. So this is now 14. And like my step 2, one answer will lead to another. So I can now work out this one. So standing, this is 75 people, 75, take away 14. 5 take away 4 is 1, 7 take away 1 is 6. So this is now 61. So that's that part done, part A. Now let me go to part B. one of the 120 people is chosen at random. So I've got 120 people. Write down the probability that this person is a male who stands. So first of all, if I have a probability, I need a fraction. So I've got a numerator, a top number, and a denominator, a bottom number. My bottom number, denominator, is always a total. Okay, and so if I read this information, one of the 120 people, so 120 goes at the bottom, is chosen at random. Write down the probability that this person is a male. So I'm looking for male who will stand, and I'm looking for stand, so it's here. So I've got male and standing is 29. So I've got 29 at the top. Okay, so that's worth my last mark. So that is question number 2. I hope you got that right. Let's go on to the next question. And before we go to that, as you may notice, I do a little bit of analysis. So frequency trees for foundation, it does occur in paper 1. You can see it's occurred quite frequently. It's occurred in paper 2 and paper 3. So I've looked at papers from 2017 to 2023, and this is how they occur. So you can see clearly that this is both a non-calculator and a calculator topic. Okay, let's go to the next question. So question 3. And you can see this is a paper 1 question, and it is from June 2022. This is question 3 of 8. And there is a part B, so you can see here, part B is worth 2 marks. So altogether, this question is worth 5 marks. So press pause, have a go. When you are ready, you can press play. Okay, so you can see from on this question, this is slightly harder than the previous ones, just from observing everything. And so let's go through this. 72 people did a test. So I'm going to highlight that key information. 20 of the 32 adults who did the test passed. 6 of the children who did the test failed. So we've got that. Use this information to complete the frequency tree. So we don't really need that sentence. So similar to before, now instead of processing 4 lines of information, we are just processing 3 lines of information. 72 people did a test. So you can see here, this is not there. So 72 goes here. And my step 1, like previous questions, step 1 is to fill in obvious information given. And then step 2 is one answer will lead on to another. One answer will lead onto another, like a puzzle. Okay, so we've got 20 of the 32 adults who did the test passed. So we've got 32 adults. So adults, I've got 32 here, so I can put 32 here. And 20 of them passed. So I've got passed 20. Okay, so that's my obvious information. The 32 is given and the 20 is given. Now I can see how it leads. It leads on to this one here. So I've got, this is 72 take away 32. 2 take away 2 is 0. 7 take away 3 is 4. So this is 40. And same with this circle. 32 take away 20 gives me that answer. 32 take away 20. 2 take away 0 is still 2. 3 take away 2 is 1. So this is 12. 6 of the children who did the test failed. So 6 of the children who did the test failed. So you can see here, this of children, and 6 of them failed. So 6 goes here, and this one is going to be 40, take away 6, that gives me 34. Okay, let's go to part B. One of these people is picked at random. Find the probability that this person is an adult who failed the test. So one of these people, and we have to find the probability the person is an adult who failed the test. Similar to the last question, probability has got 2 parts. We've got a numerator and a denominator, and so the bottom number I'm looking for is my total. What I'm looking for, so one of these people, there are 72 people. So 72 people, I put 72 here. And I'm looking for an adult who failed. So adult, pass and fail is 12. So I've got 12 here. So my answer is 12 out of 72. Okay, let's move on to the next question. And this is another quote which I found interesting. Believe you can, and you're halfway there. So hopefully you are feeling more confident as you're doing these questions. So if you believe you can, you'll be able to answer these questions. So believe and you are halfway there. Right, here is the next question. Question number 4 of 8. This is from paper 3, so calculator paper, November 2023. And it also has a part B, and the part B is worth 2 marks. Okay, let's have a go on this question. A travel agent sold 100 holidays in April. Each of these holidays was in the UK or abroad. And you can see this corresponds with 100 here. So in reality, we don't need these 2 lines of information. Okay. 64 of the 100 holidays were sold to families. So we've got 64 and 100. The rest of the holidays were sold to couples. 11 of the 18 holidays were abroad. 11 of the 18 holidays abroad were sold to couples, and then use this information to complete the frequency tree. So again, this sentence we do not need. Similar to the previous question, step 1 is fill in obvious information. And then step 2 is one answer will lead to another. One answer will lead to another, just like a jigsaw puzzle. Okay, so we've got 64 of the 100 holidays were sold to families. So we're looking for families. So 64 of them are families. So you can see here, step 1. And now that links to my step 2, which is if this is 100, this must be 100 minus 64. And you can put this into a calculator. It will give you 36. And now the next sentence, so the first sentence is done. The rest of the holidays were sold to couples. "11 of the 18 holidays abroad were sold to couples." So 11 of the 18 holidays. So I've got 11 of the 18 holidays were sold to couples. So I've got 18 and I've got 11. So if I think about this a little bit, 11 of the 18 holidays abroad were sold to couples. So couples and abroad. So 11 goes here. 11 of the 18 holidays. So 11 goes here. Sold to couples and they are abroad. So that's 11. And like a jigsaw piece again, I can now work out this one here. So that's going to be 36. Take away 11. You can use a calculator. That gives me 25. And so now 11 of the 18 holidays abroad. So this is abroad. This keyword is missing in my highlighting. So abroad and the couples where there is missing. So we've got 11 of the 18 holidays abroad. So abroad is 18. 11 of them were to couples, which means 18 take away 11 is to families. That gives me 7. So this is 7. And now the next piece is easy. You can see this one here will be 64 take away 7. 64 take away 7 gives us 57. So that's part A. Hopefully you got those numbers correct. Part B now. One of the holidays sold to a family is chosen at random. So we're looking at one of the holidays sold to a family. Find the probability that this holiday was not abroad. Okay, so slightly, so we're our denominator, because it's probability, we have two parts again. Our denominator is our total, but we have to be a bit careful on this one. One of the holidays sold to a family. So we're looking at family. So family is 64. So 64 goes to the bottom. One of the holidays sold to a family is chosen at random. Find the probability that this holiday was not abroad. So not abroad, abroad is 7, and not abroad is 57. So we put here 57. And so that is my answer. So this one, you can see why it's worth 2 marks compared to the last question. It's because of this. So we've got family here, as opposed to in previous questions, it was just the total. But in this case, we had to read this information and realize that they're asking us for something different. So that's question 4. Let's go to question 5 now. And you can see the questions are getting harder. Here we are, question 5. Press pause and have a go. When you're ready, press play. Okay, so we've got 80 people were asked if they liked coffee. 48 of these people are women. 61 of the 80 people like coffee. 8 of the men do not like coffee. Use this information to complete the frequency tree. 80 is given to us. We've got men, women, like coffee, do not like coffee. One of the people who like coffee is chosen at random. Find the probability that this person is a woman. So if you haven't answered the question, press pause and have a go. And if you have answered or you've pressed play, let's continue. So we can see here, similar to some of these previous questions, the first sentence we don't really need, and we don't need this sentence either. So we now have 3 sentences that we need to analyze. So like before, step 1, fill in obvious information. I put it obvious because sometimes it's not obvious. You have to read it carefully. And then step 2, one answer will lead to another. Another way of thinking about it is like an invitation. One answer invites you to another one. Okay, so 48 of these people are women. 61 of the 80 people like coffee. 8 of the men do not like coffee. So that's our clear in our information. So we're just reading it, analyzing it, understanding it. 48 of these people are women. So that's the first obvious information. We can put 48 here. And so now our step 2 happens to be this one. So 80 take away 48. And it's a paper 1, so this is a non-calculator paper question. 80 take away 48. If I think about it, 80 take away 40 is 40, 40 take away 8. So let me just write what I said. I'm going to break this up instead of just doing this as another way. Take away 40, take away 8. So 80 take away 40 gives me 40, take away 8 is 32. So sometimes that you could just do that in your head rather than doing the column method. So this is now 32. Just showing you different strategies of working out. Now, the next step, 61 of the 80 people like coffee. So we've got 61 of the 80 people like coffee. Eight of the men do not like coffee. So in this scenario, I'm going to go to this sentence because that's kind of clear for me. 8 of the men do not like coffee. So I'm going to go to 8 men do not like coffee. So this one is going to be 8. So that's my step 1. And now I can see what my like coffee is going to be, which is going to be 32 take away 8, which is 24. And now 61 of the 80 people like coffee. So liking coffee is 61. 61 is liking coffee. So I've got 61 here liking coffee. And here I've got 24 from the men. So I'm going to do 61 take away 24. I'm going to borrow one from here. 11 take away 4 is 7. 5 take away 2 is 3. So my answer here is 37. And now you can see this part is going to be 48 take away 37. 8 take away 7 is 1. 4 take away 3 is 1. So this is 11. Okay, so this bit is a bit tricky. So if you're not careful, you can easily get this the wrong way, muddled up. All right, part B. One of the people who like coffee is chosen at random. So someone who likes coffee is chosen at random. Find the probability that this person is a woman. So similar to before, probability, I've got 2 parts. What's my total in this occasion? My total in this occasion is not just a simple, it's from here, it's people who like coffee, and that's 61. 61 of the 80 people like coffee. So this is 61. And the probability that this is a woman is 48. And who like coffee is 37. So women like coffee is 37. So 37 goes here. So be careful. You could have just thought 48, put that there, but it's people who like coffee. So 37 people who like coffee. And that's our final answer, 37 over 61. Right, let's go to question 6 next. Here is question 6. Okay, this is from paper 2, calculator paper, November 2017. And part A is worth 3 marks and part B is worth 2 marks. Press pause and have a go. When you're ready, press play for the answer. "200 people live in a village. 23 people do not have a garden. 10 males do not have a garden. 95 people are male. Use this information to complete the frequency tree." We've got 200 here. Do not have a garden. Do have a garden. Male, female, male, female. One of the people who does not have a garden is chosen at random. Write down the probability that this person is female. If you think about it, similar to before, we've got 200 here, so we don't really need this sentence, and we don't need this sentence here. So we just have to process these 3 lines. So we've got 23 people do not have a garden. 10 males do not have a garden. 95 people are male. And so similar to the previous question, step 1 is fill in obvious information. And then step 2 is one answer will lead to another answer. Will lead to another answer. It invites you to another answer. One answer will lead to another answer. I'm going to use invitation. I like that word invitation as well. So let's look at this question. So 23 people do not have a garden. So we've got do have a garden, do not have a garden, have a garden. So this is obvious, 23. So that's nice and simple for us. And so we should be able to work this one out. So this now becomes 200 take away 23. And it's paper 2, calculator paper. So that gives us 177. You can use a calculator for that. Next thing is 10 males do not have a garden. So 10 males do not have a garden. So do not have a garden, it's 10. And so now this one becomes easier. The circle underneath, 23 take away 10 gives me 13. 95 people are male. So I know I've got male here, which is 10. So this male will become 95 take away 10. That gives me 85. And so now this circle becomes a bit easier to do. This invites me to do 177 take away 85. Put that in the calculator and you should get 92. And so that becomes 92. Did that too quickly. If you put it like this, 7 take away 5 is 2. And then carry a 1 from there, that gives us 92. Now part B. One of the people who does not have a garden is chosen at random. Who does not have a garden. Write down the probability that this person is female. So similar to the previous questions, probability is a fraction, got 2 parts. What's my total here? One of the people who does not have a garden. So who does not have a garden is 23. Oops, camera has moved. One of the people who does not have a garden is 23. So 23 goes here. And I'm looking for female. 23 female is 13. And so this is 13 at the top. And similar to before, the earlier questions, it was worth 1 mark. But you can see we just have to be careful with that. And so because of that, if we did not read this carefully, we're going to get the denominators incorrect. So that's very, very important just to be careful about that. Let's go to the next question. Question 7. Here is 7 out of 8. This question is worth 5 marks. So clearly it's going to be harder than the previous questions that we've done. And so this is from paper 2, calculator paper from November 2021. Press pause and have a go. When you're ready, press play for the answer. Question 17. 60 people are asked if they prefer to text or to email their friends. And if we look at this, 60 is already here, so we don't really need this sentence here. 38 of the people are women and the rest are men. 15 of the men prefer to email their friends. 60% of the people prefer to text their friends. Complete the frequency tree for this information. Again, we don't really need this sentence. So we are just analyzing these three sentences. This question, we've got percentages. Previously, we did not have percentages. This time around, we are having percentages. So this question, step 1, is fill in obvious information. And then step 2 is one answer will invite us to the next answer. One answer invites to the next answer. And also we've got 60% of the people prefer to text their friends. We've got percentages here. So there is a step here where we have to work with percentages. Work with percentages. Now, work with percentages. Okay, so let's go through this. 38 of the people are women. So that is an obvious information, piece of information. 38. So now this part becomes 60 take away 38. That gives me, I can put this into my calculator as well, is 22. So the first sentence is done. Second sentence, 15 of the men prefer to email their friends. So from men, I'm looking for email. So email, 15 is what goes here. Oops, 15. So my second sentence is done. And now I can fill in this circle here, which is going to be 22 take away 15. Which gives me 7. Now the next bit of information, 60% of the people prefer to text their friends. And I have missed a key bit of information, which is 60% of the people. So I'm looking for 60% of, how many people do I have? I've got 60 people. 60% of 60. So that's 60%. When you see the word of in maths, that means multiply. So I can just put 60% times 60. And you can put that in your calculator. And if you don't know how to do that, percent means divide by 100. So that's 60 divided by 100 is 0.6 times by 60. And so that gives us 36. Now the next thing, so this is 36. So 36 people prefer to text their friends. So if we have Just pausing for a second, just to check my calculation is fine. Right, next thing. 36 people prefer to text their friends. So if texting is 7, we can do 36 take away the 7. So 36 take away 7. That gives me 29. And so now that I've got 29 here, I can work out what this one is, which is going to be 38 take away 29, which is 9. So 9 goes there. So you can see why this question is worth 5 marks. There's a lot more working out required for this question. Okay, let's go to the next question. And if you are here for the first time, subscribe to the channel. There'll be more videos that I do online and more live lessons. So if you are subscribing, you will be seeing these questions as they appear. Let's go on to the last question, question 8. Question 8 has 2 parts. So part A is worth 3 marks and part B is worth 2 marks. So altogether 5 marks for this question. And this is a paper 2 question from June 2023. Hopefully you're getting better at this, and you will be able to get all of these correct, I hope. Let me know in the comments if this is helping you. Press pause and have a go. When you're ready, press play for the answer. So we've got 240 people work at a factory. Of these people, 150 have a car, 110 have a bicycle, 65 of the people who have a bicycle do not have a car. Use this information to complete the frequency tree. And we've got 240 here, have a car, do not have a car, have a bicycle, do not have a bicycle, have a bicycle, do not have a bicycle. Part B, what percentage of the 150 people who have a car also have a bicycle? So it's similar to previous questions. We've got 240 there, so we can delete, cross off this line, and this information we can cross off as well. And you can see it's, again, we only have to process 3 lines of information. So what is this information telling us? 150 people have a car, 110 have a bicycle, 65 of the people who have a bicycle do not have a car. So similar to before, step 1, fill in obvious information. Or information that is given. And then step 2, one answer invites us to the next answer. Okay, so step 1, 150 have a car. So have a car, this is 150. 110 have a bicycle. So before I go to that, so if 150 have a car, we can work out this box, which is 240 take away 150. That gives us 90. And again, it's a paper 2, which is a calculator paper. So we've got that information. So 150 have a car. 110 have a bicycle. That sentence doesn't help me just yet, so I need to continue reading. 65 of the people who have a bicycle do not have a car. So I'm looking at do not have a car. This one here, do not have a car. They have a bicycle, so have a bicycle. So this is 65. So this part was a bit tricky. And now you can see the invitation for this circle, 90 take away 65. That gives us 25. So this goes here, 25. And now I can go back to that second sentence, which is 110 have a bicycle. So have a bicycle is 110, and I have a bicycle is here as well, which is 65, so I can take them away. 110 take away 65 is 45, so this goes here. And now 150 take away 45 is my missing circle here. 150 take away 45, which is 105. You think about it, 50 take away 45 is 5, and then you've got the 100, 105. So that's our part A. I hope you got that correct. Let's look at part B now. What percentage of the 150 people who have a car also have a bicycle? So we're now looking at percentages, slightly different from previous questions. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this as a fraction. So similar to what I've done in all the other questions, first of all, have this as a fraction, and my total goes here as the denominator. In this case, it's 150. And then the next thing I'm going to look at is 150 people who have a car also have a bicycle. So have a car is 150 and have a bicycle is 45. And so now I just put that into my calculator. 45 divided by 150, that gives me 0.3. And now how do I change this to a percentage? I multiply it by 100. So 0.3 times 100 gives me 30%. And that's my final answer, 30%. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please like and subscribe to the channel. Until next time, take care everybody. Bye bye. Assalamu alaikum.